we are back, episode 150 of Journey to Million. And look, just like that, the 2024-2025 NFL season's already gone. That was quick. Super Bowl wraps up here. Now we have free agency. We got to wait until March 12th is when the magic starts. So we got like a month or so until then. But don't worry, the odds are already out for 2026. The draft, let alone, right? Those have already been well out and already fine-tuned. But look, we'll break down, of course, the big game and talk through and argue about whatever comes up. So how you guys doing tonight?
I'm all right.
Mad.
Good. Bucks.
Smith needed one more catch.
See, when you sent that text, Zach, I thought that was after he had that long touchdown catch. And because then Drew said, like, oh, my God, it's happening. Oh, my God. Like, and then you were saying, like, no one gave me any context. So I said, what's happening? And then no one responded. I was like, what is going on? And then Worthy caught that second touchdown. I was like, is that what he needed? I don't know. Because you said you needed a Worthy touchdown. So I didn't know if that was before the first one or after the first one.
If anyone bet on Worthy to get 2 touchdowns,
it paid $750, you said. That's why I was confused, because that's a high payout. I didn't know how much you put down on it.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe it's random odds. You took 2 touchdowns or something.
There's like, if Saquon wouldn't have been so involved in the pass game, or it would have been competitive, I would have won.
Yeah, the game script hurt
technically,
you really.
Technically, Devontae Smith did catch another pass. It's just out of bounds in the end zone.
Yeah.
I completely
feel any better. Yeah.
The one I posted on at your sports crew hit, it was Devontae Smith 4.5. It was the reception line there. Worthy over yards, pretty self-explanatory. And then it was DeAndre Hopkins anytime touchdown, along with Jake Elliott 1.5 field goals. So that was nice.
What was that, like 5 to 50 or something?
It was anytime touchdown. I think it was maybe like a 16 time, because the touchdown, anytime touchdown there.
It was a demon,
it was a deep, But no, that was tough. I had another one. I had Dallas Goedert. Yeah, I bet over long reception or under long reception.
Yeah.
18.5 was the under.
First play of the game. Yeah, the 20-yard catch. Yeah.
And then I bet, which I actually still think is a great bet. I took Devontae Smith, top reception guy on the Eagles, but I thought of the receivers. It worked out, but just Saquon had 8 receptions?
6. He hasn't been involved in the pass game all year. Then
I think his line was like 2.5 or 2.
Yeah, but I mean, he had
1.5.
Obviously, I think a big story of that game though was, I say a big story, but yet Kansas City was able to stop Saquon, but when you get the ball inside the 10 or field position, you get a pick 6.
That was a Big Ten football game right there. A lot of Hawkeyes and a lot of Badgers making big plays.
Yeah,
Cooper DeJean and Zach Bond. Even Leo Chanel had that onside kickoff. Everyone's just involved. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that was cool to see. I thought though, for the stats, right? Obviously, the Chiefs ended up putting out together statistically some nice numbers, but I mean, based on the score, it should have been a great day for the betting community. But they actually said it was one of the best day for the sports book. The sports books had a lot of nice wins because of just how empty the stat sheet really was in terms of obviously the top bet guys. Kareem Hunt was a top guy in DFS. 3 attempts, 9 carries. And obviously game script really hurt them, but I mean, Kelsey, like so many guys missed on everything. I put Noah Gray in a DFS lineup.
Value pick or something? I don't know.
Well, you're kind of just stuck with games like this. But when you try to do a full lineup, I mean,
usually it's like 5 players. You have your MVP, then like a 1.25x, and then 3 slot flex guys.
So rough. Jared, do you have any success in this? Any success stories? The Super Bowl?
No. You think after the week Kelsey had, you can take his receptions at like 6.5 or his yards at like 55, but think it's like 2 catches all game. And I had Kareem Hunt's rushing yards at like 39.5. He had like 9, like you said. No, nothing came out of it at all. So, I did have Jahan Dotson, 1.5 catches. He had 2, but that was with Xavier Worthy rushing yards, and he normally gets like three attempts a game. He didn't get a rush attempt the whole game. So
I was surprised. I looked at that one. It actually got bumped. It was at 4.5. I saw for rushing yards, and that was one. But yeah, look, I mean, I'd say the Super Bowl. I said, it was I'd say it was the outcome we wanted in terms of coming into it the week. Right, we wanted the Eagles to win, but how it happened was just, 24-0 at half. Right, you all watched the game. Everybody watched the game, so no need to explain that part. But I just think that a little disappointing about how the game ended up actually going. Do you all think if the game was outside, it would have been closer?
No.
No, I didn't really ever think of that, to be honest.
No, and I know it's a narrative thing, but I know I saw Chiefs fans complaining about indoor favorability.
No, they were complaining about the refs because how many calls they didn't get. Oh,
it was a total makeup call that next. Or I just bring up the AJ Brown. I cannot believe they called right when they called OPI there. I know everyone was thinking was like, "Here we go. Yeah. This is gonna be a fun game."
Yep. Then any big play the Chiefs had got called back. It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Finally, they're down by 20. They have a 20-yard gain. It's like, nope, I'm holding. Okay, bad downfield.
Yeah, I think. Zach, for Nick Sirianni, well, you're the Howie Roseman guy. You're the self-proclaimed Howie Roseman, right? But I don't know. I'm impressed with Nick Sirianni. I think it's so underrated, right? 4 years being coach there, right? It's been I think this was his 4th season.
Yeah.
Already 2 Super Bowl appearances, but
I still don't think he's that good.
Nobody thinks he's good. Not even Eagles fans think he's good. They were calling for his name like week 12, week 13. Even that they were like, I don't know, at that time, like 10-2 or something, calling for his name to get fired. It's like nobody likes him, but he's decent, I guess. So whatever.
Well, I just think of his press conference, and that just tells me Liam Cohen, there's hope. There's hope in Jacksonville.
Well, hey, he's probably still preaching for Frank Reich. He probably won the Super Bowl for Frank Reich. Jump on the bleachers and tell the audience that it was for Frank Reich. God, I can't stand that guy.
I personally, I've noticed the second half of the year a lot of love for Eagles. I still am not a Nick Sirianni fan by any means, but there have certainly been less of those moments, right? Right.
Yeah.
I feel like there have been. I think a credit there. I think the real credit, though, I think schematically, I think we go to Kellen Moore. I think the job he did. Look, he got a head coaching job out of it.
And look at
Fangio too.
And look at and look at the Eagles. Their whole team just like begging for Kellen Moore to stay. Nick Sirianni's like, please stay, and then he leaves. Now they're not going to be good next year. I'm calling it. They're going to be terrible.
They're going to be good.
Cowboys are going to win the division and lose first round. That's what's going to happen.
Really?
I mean, Philly's losing pretty much nobody.
And they still have Saquon, sure. Yeah, I get it.
That offense is staying together. Like, they're going to lose probably Zach Bond. I'm assuming they're not going to be able to bring him back.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like, for the most part, they're bringing probably like 19, 20 of 22 starters back.
Yeah.
So you would assume, I mean, they lost Dean at the start of the postseason, right? I mean, I just think they're going to be actually like gaining like that. That's going to be an add. Obviously, they have them all regular season, but that's going to be a plus. Jake Elliott was a guy who I thought they might move on from, but has a great Super Bowl. Obviously, every game up to that, from 50 on was a miss, but you'd think that the team in most of its entirety is going to be staying together. The offensive line, there shouldn't be any changes there. They are the favorites to win the NFC again for 25-26, shocker based on odds. With Troy at number 2, but I found that to be interesting. I think the NFC East though too. I mean, we have to also look at Washington, right? I mean, the year they're coming off, how they're going to factor in with that moving forward. But yeah, to Zach's point, this team there should be a good chunk of continuity, year in year out. You'd think Fangio next coaching cycle now, right? I mean, you'd think he'd get another shot, based on how they performed. Not saying he would want another shot. I know today we saw Matt Patricia get a shot again, but back in college. So things can happen.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people are just a lot better on their second shot, even if it's like a different role. Like we said, if it's not a head coaching role, if they get a coordinator job or something, like we were talking about with like Kingsbury, sometimes it just works out. So
I saw reports that Cliff Kingsbury was actually the guy New Orleans wanted, and it sounded as if Moore was more of the pivot after he was staying with Washington. So
yeah.
That will be an interesting name next cycle.
It's interesting to me that Moore actually took that job. Like, you could tell nobody wanted it, right? With all the people that pulled out.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like the reason Moore took it is, like, he was the leading candidate for a bunch back when he was in Dallas. And then ended up never getting one. So I feel like it's almost – he didn't want that to happen again. So he just ended up having to take probably one of the worst situations we've seen in recent years.
Yeah, with how you can defer and with cap space situations, seriously, like one of the worst. I think no, to your point, he definitely. I mean, he's the youngest head coach now, right? At 36, I saw, right? But yeah, think about if he would have took one of those jobs when he was in Dallas. I mean, definitely hindsight's 2020, right? And he definitely should have, but now because he didn't, kind of a position of right. I mean, there's only 32 of these, so really puts if you have a chance to take one, you got to go for it. You got to obviously situation. I know that some guys have talked about. I think Pete Carroll's one, right? Coming, coaching and stuff. Situation does matter, right? And coming into a spot, and obviously, right? We could also see this. We've seen coaches not even make it a year, so you never know how it's going to go. Obviously, the Saints are a little different situation where. I mean, the expectation he's coming into is, 3 wins, 4 wins.
I mean, realistically, like if they're not completely committed to giving him 3-4 years, like he has no shot at making it.
Yeah,
right? Like
no coach.
There's just no way they win over probably 7-8 games as their absolute ceiling in the next few years because they're only going to lose talent and they have no money and draft capital is mediocre.
They really got to draft well with what they have. I mean, that's like,
yeah,
they were able to move Lattimore. Obviously, they got minimal thing there. They got something. They have Jordan, Kamara, Carr.
I mean, is Kamara? Is he under contract still for a few years? I know he's like 30.
Yeah, he signed an extension.
They
just did.
Did he? Okay.
So that's where like they're doing weird, right? You don't obviously, right? I mean, the talent Kamara is, but you usually don't see a team that
was like one of those extensions because it freed up cap space. Like they just needed to free up cap space. Like he's going to be 30. I mean, he's going to fall off in the next probably 2 years, right?
Like, Chris Olave is always concussions everywhere. He probably won't play much. He's like their only receiver now, right?
They are like, I mean,
they're all the time.
They're last in cap space. They're first in dead cap. I mean, it's like it's a combination, right? You don't want to be in. And
but the thing is that if he gets, if they win 3 games this year, he's probably going to get fired. Like that's the reality of the NFL. Like you would think, and maybe they give him 2 years, but if they're not a 500 team by 2026, 27, like. He's out the door. That's just how it is.
Yeah. But I mean, like, that's right. Like, that's why nobody wanted that job.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm guessing it's just to make a name I mean, people know who Kellen Moore is, but sometimes you just make a name for yourself. You're head coach, you get paid more. It could work out. It's a risk. I mean, it's a gamble, and if it works out, you're, great. But there's a big chance it doesn't work out too. especially on the Saints.
Yeah, it's almost like I think the few years where they kind of had a down year in Dallas, he went to LA and, he had a 1 year stint there. I think that almost probably didn't help because if you do stay at a coordinator job, wait for a good position like Ben Johnson, every year you have to be regarded as one of like the top 3 coordinators at your position. And I think those few down years, 4 more kind of, at least if I was him, I'd be like, I got to take my shot now. Otherwise, if that happens again, I might never get a shot.
Why do we never hear about Steve Spagnuolo getting like head coach jobs? I don't know if we talked about that before. Like, why? Why is he not getting any jobs though? Like, everyone talks, every single Chiefs broadcast, they talk about him like 70 times. Like, he's the best DC in the game. He's amazing. His defense is always amazing. And then I never see his name like, oh, head coach candidate, Steve Spagnuolo. It's always, oh, he interviewed, but that was it. It's like, why, if he's that good, why wouldn't they?
Didn't he used to be a head coach and it was awful?
So he was a head coach with the Rams, St. Louis, in 2009, 2011. He was also an interim coach when the Giants, in 2017. But he was DC there as well. So yeah, he's been around the block. I mean, just in terms of different coordinator jobs, there's multiple stints. But yeah, and there's also guys. I mean, we talked about this too, right? There's guys who are better in the coordinator jobs, right? That actually might be, not to bring up Kingsbury again, but like that's a guy who could fit that mold. Maybe I don't know if you guys saw it, Brandon Staley looks like he might be the DC with Kellen Moore's staff.
I think Zach loves him, so that's cool.
We'll just think about Chargers, right? Think about the time there. That's kind of where I feel like those lines may have been drawn too. But I mean, think about that staff.
Zach, what's your excuse for the Chargers this year again? I forgot. What's your excuse? They lost their guys. Offensive coordinator was bad head coach, Herbert.
His Eagles won though.
Yeah, because Herbert had a good year, but they still just didn't do much.
In the playoffs, Herbert played awful.
Yeah.
Won only 4 picks.
But next year it'll be, they're getting chemistry, they're getting up there, they're getting good. One more year. Just one more year.
Herbert's off my fantasy team, so I don't really care that much anymore.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that move you made. So
yeah.
I have him now, don't I?
Yeah. Yes, so Jared, what's the excuse?
You got to make excuses now. It comes with having him on your team.
Yeah. It's one bad game doesn't shape his career. He's good. He'll be fine. Don't worry.
What about I saw Chris Ballard had some comments on Richardson today.
Did he? Oh, I ignored it.
I don't know if you saw such.
I just swiped it up. No.
Just comments involving
I don't care.
Not playing 17 games yet and how competition's good.
Well, the talent's there. We're not arguing that he has the ability to. It's just he doesn't. He can't. I'm watching the Super Bowl and I'm like, wow, imagine Richardson being in Jalen Hurts' because Jalen Hurts and him are kind of comparable with their mobility and besides like strength and accuracy, there's a few differences, but I'm watching. I'm like, wow, that could be
complete short passes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was watching it and I was like, wow, that could be Richardson. And then Hurts threw that first pass to AJ Brown on the sideline for 12 yards. I'm like, wow. That's a 4th down for us. We're not converting that one. Like, he's missing that 10 yards.
He's throwing a bullet that's going right past his head before he turns it around.
I was like, well, that's why. And then, like, I'm talking to Justin, my brother's roommate, and saying, like, oh, imagine the Colts. They could finally be here. I was like, it doesn't matter what we do this year. We're never going to be close. We're going to be, like, at most a 10-11 win team. And I just hope Richardson looks good. So my value of my card goes up. Like, that's the best case right now. Like, I don't know.
What's the best, like, for the draft, what's the best case? You get a good tight end, you get a good corner, we
need a safety bad, like really bad, but we're going to go tight end first round and then we're going to look for safety and corner. Yeah. If we don't go safety or corner, like Ballard, he hasn't drafted well since 2018. So I think that
DC,
if we get, say we get Loveland or we get, the Penn State dude, Warren, say we get one of them, like we could easily get one of them if we wanted to, but, I don't know if that's our big need right now. I think our secondary is a lot more important.
Maybe get safety round 2. I don't know names.
I'm sure like one of those guys, one of those tight ends is going to be their beginning round 2. You can trade up.
Yeah.
I would assume.
Well, you know that kind of worked out terribly for us. Isaiah Rodgers, the gambler that got cut from the Colts. Yeah, he signed with the Eagles. Now he's a champion, so that's cool.
Did he play?
Yeah, he
He's
actually
kind of like a rotational guy, right?
he played like 2, 3, 4 snaps. He had like one.
He got a ring.
Yep. He had a pass deflection, so he had stats. But yeah, he played. He got the ring, and now Julian Blackmon is terrible. His first healthy year, he looked awful. We have Kenny Moore. That's about it. Like Juju Brents is always hurt. I don't know.
If it makes you feel any better, this is I saw a stat. It's like the 7th straight year that a former Giants first-round pick has won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what we need? We need Jalen Hyatt. I know he wasn't a first-round pick. We need like Jalen Hyatt to go to like the Colts and then, help my fantasy team out a little bit. That'd be cool. Who was the first round? No, it was Jalen Carter a couple years ago, right? Wasn't he their first-round pick?
That's silly.
Yes.
Or yeah, you said yeah, Giants. So he won it with the Eagles. Yeah. That's funny.
Maybe you could go out and get Kayvon or something. He might be getting traded.
Yeah. Don't the Packers need someone like that? Like a Myles Garrett or Max Crosby?
Yeah, Kayvon's not really that kind of guy yet.
No. That's right. I forgot that you don't like developing talent. You like proven talent. I forgot about that. You don't like building players up. You want them.
Only in Dynasty he does, though.
Yeah.
Dynasty, he's
he loves rookies.
2040.
Yeah. Just wait 5 years. My team might have a chance.
Then trades all the guys for you. Year 4.
Win the league, win $200, but you spent 10 years trying to build that team, so you don't win anything. Like,
I can't wait to pick 101.
Yeah, you're welcome. That is literally from me. I could have won too. I would have won. You would have gotten the second.
Wait, what
pick.
league is this?
It's in Boston Sky.
In my league.
Oh,
literally, I could have won. No,
yeah,
you want to know what happened, Drew? I'll tell Drew what happened.
I have the 201 too.
You want to know what happened, Drew?
Jared's first and second round pick.
What happened?
So what happened was I was the 12 seed going in, and I was like tied with the guy. If I would have won, I would have been the 11, and Zach would have gotten the second pick.
No, you were okay. You were in 12th by like 10 points. You guys had the same record.
Yeah.
So going into, I think it was the Sunday night games, the other guy I saw, he benched like 2 guys, like purposely trying to lose by more points or whatever.
I don't think he was purposely trying to lose. I think he wasn't paying attention to his team. I think that's what it was.
No, he benched him. Like he just straight up took him out of his lineup. Yeah.
Okay.
Because at first I was like, oh, like I'm not worried about it because like your team wasn't gonna outscore him.
Yeah.
And then he benched 2 guys. So I texted Jared and I was like, hey, what do you say you benched 2 guys too?
So I started like Justin Watson or something or whatever it was.
Why would you do that?
To help Zach get the 101. What do you mean? We have a deal. Now he owes me like.
It's called a.
Now he owes me 20% of his win. Yeah. That was our deal, right?
He owes you what?
No. That was the deal?
That's not winning that league.
Oh, okay.
He
owes me like a first. Like we talked about that. Like if I have a trade with him and it's like, oh yeah, you owe me a first round pick, he'll just give it to me. Yeah.
I don't think that's what the deal is either. What? Do you say collusion-ish?
Might need to refresh me on that deal.
2 guys working together in a league.
Oh, almost like you colluding against me for Tom Brady. Almost like the whole Tom Brady collusion that you had. The whole
that was a trade
working against me because you had to put out a memo saying that, oh, this isn't fair.
No, that's different.
Collusion.
Come on.
That's correct.
Yeah, Jared, I feel like it's time to say something. Drew said that if we don't agree with him, we get kicked out of the league.
Really?
What? No, come on.
Such a dictatorship. That's
so
crazy.
I was willing to risk it. That's why I was on your side. But that's why everyone else was against you.
Yeah. Funny.
That makes sense. I don't even doubt that, honestly. I think that's probably what he did.
Nope.
Yeah. Text them all separately. Hey, so there's a poll here. First of all, if you don't vote in the poll, you're kicked out, and if you vote this way, you're also kicked out. So vote my way. Or
no, I made it anonymous too.
Anonymous. What do you mean anonymous? Someone was drinking. Everyone knows it wasn't them.
No, Jared. You can make the polls anonymous.
Oh my god! Like, it doesn't matter. I don't care.
So you can see who voted which way.
I just care that you were the one that swayed their vote. I don't care who votes which way.
It's my fault now.
I would have voted your way if I wasn't me. Like
back to my fault from 3.
Jared, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you want DeAndre Swift?
For a third, sure, I'll take him.
206.
What about Cooper Kupp, Jared? What's his value now?
Cooper Kupp's on the trademark. He's been on the trade block for like 3
His
years
value-
now, and no one's
I'll give
sent me
you
any
value.
offers.
I'll give you a third now.
No one sent me any offers besides like Drew sending like a fourth or something. It's like
there's no fourths in
Jared,
the league.
I'll give you Swift
Whatever
for the
it's been, I don't
206. You need a running back, right?
dude, Swift is like a third string running back. Why would I want him?
What? He's number one in
What
the
was
depth
Zach's
chart,
game?
right?
Scammer steal?
Ooh. He's number one, sure, and he's gonna get like what, 5 points a game. He's
I don't
equivalent
know
to a
that.
third string running back. That's what I'm saying. I'd rather
Hold
have
on,
Boston
look at-
Scott or Kenneth Gainwell on my
Look
team.
at Swift's career finishes in fantasy. He's been, I think it's between like 17 and like 22 every single year of his career. Definition of consistency.
He's a Bear, right?
Yeah.
So he had a good year or a decent year this year, and the Bears were terrible, and then he just ended terrible.
He was like
He started off
19.
decent. He started off decent, and then
Yeah.
when they
Got
started
nothing.
losing, he sucked. He was terrible.
When their offense wasn't moving the ball, he wasn't good. Yes.
Yeah.
When they
Yeah.
put up 3 points a game and 150 yards. Believe
So
it or
here's-
not, the running back didn't put up many
So
points.
here, Jared, give me your 206 for this guy that doesn't like moving the ball. Like,
No, but they
No.
got Ben Johnson now, so they'll be able to move the ball a lot better.
well, 206 is going to give me someone that's like 21 years old. It's going to be someone that's young.
How
Not
old do you
someone
think
that's-
Swift is?
It's like 24, 25.
Jared's
I don't know.
playing
He's
Dynasty
young, but-
different. I can't believe this.
Well, I'm just saying, like, Zach always tries to scam me on these trades. Like, hey, look,
does?
Swift.
Damn you!
Yeah, I scammed
I'm
you on Shakir
fair.
and Mahomes last trade, so that's something I can hold on to. But
Yeah, I need some of that.
I'm
value
impressed.
back.
you're always the one that wants. Even Drew, you and Drew. I mean, I only trade with you guys basically, but you guys are always want. Oh, what helps my team? Here, this and this. Here, give me those.
Jared,
How does
you've
that
been
help me?
telling me you want a running back for the last how many months?
Yeah, and
I'm offering you a running back.
how many running backs have you offered me in the last 2 months besides this? Oh, zero.
I think I tried trading you
Zero.
Chase Brown, but you didn't want that.
No, I didn't. Then that was not a trade. That was not.
Well,
Unless it's
Well,
still
that's-
sitting in the archives right now, because I did not.
Oh no, I didn't. I don't think I offered you anything. I think I just
Oh.
texted you about it.
Oh, okay.
the last trade Jared and I did was Josh Dobbs for a 2025 second and a 2025 third, I believe.
Yeah, and who scams you now?
I didn't say Drew didn't. I said he was a big scammer. I
Yeah, no,
said-
Zach's the scammer.
No, you guys both are. Like,
No, I make.
No,
fair
mine was a
trades.
great trade at the
If
time.
anything,
needed a
Jared, you've
quarterback.
won more trades with me than I've won with you.
you think so?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm fine with running backs. What do you mean? I got.
Mostert for Kelvin Ridley.
Hey, my running backs are fine.
Nice.
What do you mean? I
I'm
got
just starting
Kenneth
Ken's
Walker. No, I got Kenneth Walker and Braylon Allen. All right.
Wow.
Ooh, trade's coming in. Swift for a second. Oh, that's you, Zach. Look at that. 25 days ago.
Yeah.
25.
Just saw it now. I don't pay
If
attention to
anything-
fantasy in the offseason, really. Like, not until.
If
the
anything,
season
I mean,
comes up.
Not until rookie draft.
RB3 for a mid-second. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I literally benched Quentin Johnston for Justin Watson to help you get the 101. That's what I
Yeah.
did.
Yep. And now I'm offering you a very generous trade.
Generous, whatever.
Terrible.
That's actually what. Like, that's not bad value.
I wouldn't do it.
Anyone
but-
want
I also
Imari
don't.
DiMarcado? I'm dropping him right now.
No.
I think Swift went for like 206 in one of my other leagues, or the 207 or 205, so somewhere around there, mid-second.
Anyone want
I'd
Joe
give him-
Flacco?
2026 second maybe, but I mean,
Should I drop Joe Flacco?
yeah. Or I don't know.
Or OBJ? He's not on the team.
Goodness.
My team is terrible in this league. Like,
Yeah,
That's
so
what
you
I'm
need
hearing.
Swift. He'll put
I don't need Swift. Swift will put a Band-Aid over something for a little bit, but that's about it. Like, my other team is actually decent. I should have made playoffs, but I lost by what? I missed playoffs by like 6 points or something to Tyler.
My league or
Yeah. It was like 7 points I missed on. We had the same record, but I was the bottom scorer.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention in our negotiations of when Jared was going to bench people, I said if he didn't, I was going to bench Chase. So
Yeah,
you
so
know
I had no
Sean
chance at
Beaver.
all then. Yeah.
who told the league, Jared?
And I said, that's not the reason I'm going to do it. I told him, I'm like, that's not the reason. Like, I'm not going to make it anyways. You could have lost. It wouldn't have mattered.
I think I would have won even if I did if I did bench Chase.
Yeah. Tries blackmailing me. Hey, do this or I'm going to bench my guy.
Oh, it's a negotiation tactic.
You were just scared that I was going to beat you in the playoffs. That's all it was.
What? No, I was helping you get into the playoffs.
No, you were going to bench your guy so I wouldn't get in. That's what you were going to do. Or no, you're talking about your league. So hold on. That was no. So we're crossing leagues here. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. You were in playoffs for Drew's league, right? You made it.
Yeah. I already had a clinch. So, that's why I was like, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. But if I would have made playoffs in that league, then I was going to beat you. So you were scared. You're like, no, I don't want him in. I'm just going to bench Chase and hope he doesn't get in.
I would have wanted to play you.
Sure. Okay. What place did you end up? What did you lose first round? What happened?
Yeah. Guy put up like 160. That was the Goff's 5 touchdown, 490 yard week or whatever.
Is this listing right now of the league, like the seeds? Is that the draft we get? The pick?
I put the draft in the chat.
So I got 3rd pick. Is that what that means?
Are you in my league? Because I did a...
Yeah.
Don't you not have your first this year?
6th pick.
Yeah,
in that league, do I? I don't know. No, I don't. Not till next year.
I got some of your picks.
Yeah. Hey, you guys can throw those my way if you want. I can cut you a deal. Anyone want Michael Thomas or Ronnie Rivers?
I'll take Baker.
Hey, Ronnie Rivers is a 26-year-old running back that is owned by 3% of rosters. Well, now it's 2%.
Why is he still
dropping him? I just dropped him.
I can't believe he's still rostered.
And Michael Thomas.
I'll take Baker, Jared.
For what? 2 firsts? Sure.
I don't have any first.
No, that sucks. You're not getting Baker.
I have 0.
Oh, you traded them for Bijan, right?
Yeah.
Is that the...
Good trade. Good trade.
When Genty turns out to be the biggest bust in NFL history, I'm going to be so happy because you're hyping him up so much.
How is he going to be a bust?
You're taking Genty. You're 100%
going to take him.
Go for it. Yeah, sure. Take him. You've been hyping this dude up for so long.
If Genty goes to Vegas and Ted goes to New England, I'm taking Ted.
No, you're not. Stop.
I am. Unless Vegas gets a quarterback.
Jared, who's going to be the top guy in the draft? Or excluding quarterback? Like, who's going to be the top, skill
in
player
the actual draft or the fantasy draft? Genty, I would assume. Okay. Right? I mean, maybe I need to catch up on my research a little bit, but I assumed he was still top.
Who's going to be the third?
Yeah. We're not denying. I'm just saying, like, out of all the skill players, okay, so you just said Genty's going to be a bust. I didn't know if you were like, oh, I think Tet's going to be.
Well, no, I think they're still going to be drafted first. If Zach takes them, I want him to be a bust because I don't want that to work out for Zach.
Well, I think he will. I think Bijan's better. I mean, just prospect wise, Bijan's better. It's tough with Gibbs, kind of like, and I know I'm only going a few years back, but obviously the drafts, like, the Breece Hall year, obviously Genty clears that. I think, right, it's tough with Gibbs. I feel is kind of like prospect coming out. Obviously, I don't know. I think Genty, though, is one of those clear-cut guys. It's like Bijan that year, and I'd say he's slightly just behind that. I don't know. I just feel, especially in the fantasy in that aspect too, is just, the passing work Bijan gets is just so valuable. The amount of targets he gets, right? Just overall touches.
I always say, like, oh, I think this guy's going to be the top guy. This guy's going to be the top guy. But, like, I always go off of, like, their college careers, and I just look up the stats that they put up, and, like, I watch a few. Same as, like, Jalen Hyatt when he was Tennessee, right? It was Tennessee. Yeah, he was at Tennessee.
Yeah.
He put up good stats. But then Zach says he can't get separation. He sucks. He's terrible. And then now he's a bust. So
can't get separation, can't get off the line.
Well, same as like Traylon Burks. Like he won like college player of the year or something. I was expecting him to be like this great player, and I don't know. Just didn't happen.
I assume Zach does not like Luther Burden then, based on
I honestly don't know much about any of the prospects besides
Ted.
Genty,
Okay, well,
Ted. Yeah.
well, Burden had a bad year.
Yeah,
it
I
was
know
kind of
that.
like
He only like
I mean,
600
remember,
yards, right?
yeah.
He was
Well,
bad.
remember
Yeah.
how Keon had, Keon had a big year 3 and then transfers to Florida State. Had still a nice year, but obviously the separation concerns and stuff with him. I think with Burden, right? I mean, Burden's year was terrible. Yeah. It was a guy who his second year or his year prior was a lot more prominent. You thought if he would have had the year he had prior, would have been, a stud, but that didn't work out. I think the most consistent receiver is obviously right. I mean, you see the top guys, but I think Igbuka is going to be the top guy, Mecca Ibuka, with Ohio
He's
State.
going to be the number 2 receiver going off the board.
No, I think Ted still goes over him, but I think the
No,
combine
number 2
will
receiver.
answer
Number 2 receiver
it.
in fantasy drafts.
Depending
obviously,
on
Ted's going to be number 1, like clear number 1.
Oh yeah. Ted, regardless of landing spots, number 1. Regardless, I think we'll see Luther Burden and Igbuka flip flop based on landing spot. Is my prediction.
Isn't there's somebody else around that range, isn't there? I'm forgetting about.
I'm looking at a few mock drafts, and there's no one besides Luther that's close to Ted.
I mean, those are,
and that's like borderline first round. But I'm talking about actual draft.
Those are the top guys.
Emeka. Question: where is Genty actually going to get drafted? Because there's some mocks that are putting him like top 10, and that's not going to happen. Right?
I think he's going to go to Dallas at 12.
Is he really going to go that high? People are saying Vegas at 6. Like,
I think if Vegas does that, I think they're stupid, to be honest.
Yeah,
they have way too many other holes.
The narrative is Pete Carroll wants to run the football. Is really the. Well, I mean that's the narrative behind that pick. Zach, the other receiver you're thinking before was Isaiah Bond. Sorry, just thought I was on to mention that, out of Texas, I assume.
Yeah, he's
getting mocked.
Like I've seen a little bit of like Trey Harris. I saw a little bit of hype on him after the Senior Bowl. Tez Johnson, Jaden Higgins apparently did really well.
Tez really.
Jack Beck obviously did. Is it Jack Beck? Jack Beck? I'm assuming Beck.
Yeah.
He had a big Senior Bowl too, I think. Alec Iomanord, or however you say his name. I saw one Stanford game, and he actually impressed me in the one game I saw. But that's.
And who was that that impressed you? Who was that?
Alec Iomanord.
Oh, okay. And here the first time.
But I think Genty, I think the realistic spot's Dallas at 12, right? Team could trade up earlier than that, which would be shocking, but could see it. You could see a team trade up. I don't. And like those 10, 11 spots, unlikely, right? I mean, you would not. It's tough because it's like, does a team really want to trade up for a running back? What's it look like? I mean, the teams that there's also not many teams who would need to do that, which is the other part of this, right? Because I feel like a lot of teams feel pretty good about the running back situation. The one, I can see Denver, but you see Denver really wanting a tight end first round. You see that as a realistic possibility, but you see Denver.
I mean, they got Trautman, don't they?
But like behind like Estime and kind of the mess they're with now, just different guys they've been using. Like McLaughlin's been good, obviously Javante still, but you really see Dallas as a clear-cut team that needs a running back. You see Chicago with some questions, but you also know offensive line. And the Raiders are like really the other team. Like, hey, you could really see them getting a running back.
Vegas is one of the teams I think you could see trade up to like one of the first picks of the second round, like trade up a few spots or into the back of the first to get like Hampton.
Oh yeah.
I think
We were talking
6 is
before.
just
We think
too early. I think for
especially with the needs that team has.
Yeah.
Any earlier seems like they'd be doing themselves really a disservice based on that. And I feel like there is still good depth.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I feel like there's good depth in this running back class where you're round 2, round 3, right? We talked Hampton, we talked Henderson, both Ohio State guys. There's there's value.
I've seen Caleb Johnson is a guy I've seen get linked to Chicago recently. Might be like a third round, end of the second, somewhere around there. But I think he was the second leading rusher last year in college for Iowa. But I know he had a big year.
He's a Hawkeye.
Yeah, like that would be something if Chicago goes tackle at 10 or edge or whatever they end up doing. But
Will Campbell, LSU. I don't know.
yeah,
I'm just
it's a good class for offensive tackles. There's 3 or 4 up there at the top 15 picks or so.
Yeah, I know this class mainly just gets a lot of, a better rap, if you will, especially with the quarterback, just based on how people feel about them. But I think, overall this class, I really like it. I think it's got a well-balanced class. And obviously, year in, year out, you always hear people say that as it gets closer, but I just think based on the experience of guys you get, obviously we saw last year, right? I mean, we saw a lot of rookie receivers have nice years. I won't say, obviously Marvin Harrison's kind of an odd one with based on where he was drafted and how he performed and so on in real life and fantasy. But you'd think you can maybe get something similar this year with some of the veteran receivers. Kind of we saw Brian. I still bring up Brian Thomas as kind of he was just such a great, asset this year in fantasy with what he was able to do, where he was drafted. I think looking for guys like that.
What we saw last year was a lot of receivers going to end in the first round and then being, like very fantasy viable in year one. It's going to be the same thing with running backs this year. Because, I would argue with what you said before about not many, a lot of teams feeling good about their running back room. I'd say, there's a lot of teams that need somebody. You mentioned Denver.
For sure. They need. They need I'm talking like day 2. Like they need a complimentary guy, right? Yeah. I'm talking a complimentary guy. Not when I said not many teams running back needy. Talking in the aspects of hey, a team they need a number 1. I mean, they need a guy who starts the year as the leading guy getting carries. We don't see that common, but obviously whatever happens in Pittsburgh, I still even won't put them in that category because I feel like week 1, even if Najee's not there, right, the guy who comes in still will not be the leading rusher right away.
What do you think about Minnesota? They obviously have a lot of free agents, a lot of moving pieces this offseason. Jones is free agent. They got Ty Chandler, Cam Akers. They got to get somebody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're definitely in the running for. I mean, right. Both Ohio State guys, Henderson, Judkins, and then Hampton. Hampton. You mentioned Caleb Johnson. You would think that they're one of the teams who's going to get one of those 4 guys. I
haven't looked much at. What's their draft capital like?
So with Minnesota, let's take a peek at their draft. So obviously, right with this year, back and they have They only have 3 picks this draft. So
where are they at?
What I said might be a little tough. I did forget they made some trades. Because when they traded for Dallas Turner.
Turner, yeah.
Yep, Dallas Turner trade featured its 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round picks. So they have 2 in round 5, 1 in round 1. So what I said running back wise might be tough to happen as
I mean, if you're looking at it though from like a immediate impact perspective, that is where they're going to get the most impact from a single position, single draft pick, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's based on the teams that but Zach, keep in mind this team could also be, I would find it unlikely, but this team could be the Najee. This could be the team that gets him. Unlikely.
I mean, like free agency, it's Aaron Jones, Najee, Nick.
The beauty,
Chubb,
right? March
Dobbins.
12th, right? Free agency opens, so we're gonna kind of those questions will be answered before the draft. I feel. I say that from the football team's perspective, but also, right, when we're doing fantasy drafts, want to know where these guys end up. I feel like that's going to be optimal.
And I want to pull up Kamara's contract.
I had it up. I had New Orleans up in general. The amount of dead cap they have is horrendous. They still have Marshawn Lattimore. They had like $32 million for him right now still. Just disaster. But yeah, that Kamara extension. He could.
Yikes.
Yeah. So if the answer.
Cut him, it's a 25 dead cap.
Yeah. So
they already have.
They
$9
can't
million they're going to have to eat from him in void years.
And I don't even know, like the Kamara deal is a disaster because even if you wait a year, Zach and Jared, right? If you wait until 2026 to cut him, you have a 15 mil dead cap hit. But for a running back, this team already has dead cap galore.
His cap hit then is 18 anyways. So
yeah, it's there's no say. You're just you assume he's going to be on your team until age 32, and then the void years. So
in other words, Jared,
Jamal Williams.
You might be a Colts fan, but be happy you're not a Saints fan. No, that's Kendrick Miller.
That's right.
That's also on his ex.
Who's been hurt.
I mean, at least the Saints have gotten close in the last few years. I mean, obviously that play
was
with
2017 was the last time they were good. 2018.
Colts made the playoffs in 2021, but besides then, like Andrew Luck, I guess, like you could say that. I don't know.
Well,
about the Vikings. I know you're talking about the Vikings, right?
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. I feel like they're gonna win like 7 games this year. Just so you know, like I don't see them being anywhere near they were like last year. I know JJ's coming in as a rookie now, and he'll be the starter. I'm assuming, right? So you think that it's going to take a while for that? Even if they keep Aaron Jones or they get someone, it doesn't matter. Like they're not going to be that good. I don't think.
What if James Cook is he the star available running back this offseason?
Is he available?
I think isn't he going into year 4?
Well, I feel like he just got there.
Zach, this was his 3rd year.
Yeah, so he's got 1 more year, but he's been pretty vocal the last few days about wanting an extension. Buffalo doesn't want to do that. They might trade him.
He's just coming into his own right now.
As a James Cook fan and a James Cook truther, I will tell you, obviously, his camp wants the extension done. Wants it done now.
Yeah.
I mean, his stats this year.
His value's never been higher.
Very inflated. And this is a James Cook truther telling you that. The touchdowns, I mean, this was one of those years where, and around I think 16 was it?
Yeah.
You know, and he's a guy who I expect to find the end zone more. You know, he had like 4 a year. We expect to find the end zone more, just based on where he's been involved. But a lot of his
like 8 to 10 is like a realistic range of what you'd expect.
Realistic range for him, and I think. I mean, he's trying to cash in after statistically what was his career best year, and you know he still was a great player, and he's going to get an extension, or he should get an extension. If he doesn't, I mean, already from to age, I say already age 27, he's going to be when he's an unrestricted free agent. You know, just crazy to think about.
What if Buffalo kind of does the same thing, cashes in when his value is the highest? That's what he wants to do with a contract. Well, if Buffalo just decides that they're good with Taron Johnson and Ray Davis.
Yeah, I mean, they're a team that definitely could do that too.
They were using those other guys a lot at the end of the season. Yet
they were.
James Cook wasn't one of those 70% snap share guys.
Yeah,
and Buffalo already doesn't have a lot of cap, so.
I think they've been pretty cute with their signings and releasings lately, with the whole like Stephon Diggs thing, getting rid of Gabe Davis. I mean, their number one receiver was Khalil Shakir this year. It's like you came in and you didn't know how they would look. They can't get rid of another one of their weapons. Like I know you have Kincaid, who had a down year. Knox has fallen off now. He's nothing really. Like if you go into next year with Ray Davis as your starting running back, like I'm sorry, I know they're the Bills. They're going to be good, but I don't know.
They for sure have Cook under contract for one more year.
Yeah.
So we're looking 2026.
Well, Zach just said he might ask for an extension soon, and if he doesn't get that, then who's to say he doesn't hold out? Like JT, you know, like you never know.
That's a good point. I didn't really think of that. I mean, should have thought about it.
There's going to be some other running back that's on the market, right? Like it's not going to be Aaron Jones and Najee, and that's it. Right? Like somebody, it happens every offseason where somebody
like
gets
Stevenson
cut.
Or something. Is Stevenson still under contract?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would consider him as one of those guys. No. I'm looking at Joe Mixon right now. Houston could cut him for $8 million.
They're not cutting him. He had like a breakout year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so, just because his cap hit's not that high regardless. But if they decide to, I mean, they would save a little bit. It's, you know, like there's going to be somebody, is my point. Like, I'm not saying it's Mixon, but there's going to be somebody out there.
So, yeah. I don't know. I think teams, I know, like, as a fan, you look at, like, say they were to cut Mixon. You'd look at that and be like, that made no sense. Like, if his cap hit was high, say, and they're saving however much money. Fans don't look at the numbers side of it. Like, they look at, why did we cut him? He's so good. He's a big name. Everyone knows who he is. And now we're going to suck, but they don't realize, like, how much it actually helps. And I don't know. I feel like that would be something. There's a few players where coming off a big year, you try to, you know, cut them before they get to when you have to cut them and you lose all that money. But I feel like there's a certain players in the league where even if they're like had a great year, you kind of need them. And Joe Mixon would be one that the Texans kind of need, because Stroud had a bad year and Diggs got hurt. Tank Dell was hurt. You know, they had a lot of injuries and Mixon was like their only consistent player. I don't think they'd even consider cutting him, to be honest.
Like, the reason I like looking at contracts and cap hits and how like these teams can get out of these contracts so much, especially like this time of the year, is like if you're looking at fantasy and you want to be active throughout the offseason, like up until the draft and free agency starts, this is where you can gain a lot of value by like predicting who's going to get cut. Because a lot of the guys that we've seen, I mean, look at Dalvin Cook, right? His whole time in Minnesota, he was at least a decent running
That was
back.
one that was confusing to a lot of fans, but it made sense as a...
Yeah, he gets cut. Everyone's like, what's going on? And after he left Minnesota, he never even had like a string of 3 or 4 weeks where he was like, you got to start. But, I mean, look at the top teams for cap space: New England, Vegas, Washington, Chargers, Chicago, Minnesota. Like all these teams could realistically use a running back.
I mean, Chargers kind of did that to themselves, though. No, I mean, getting rid of Eckler, and Eckler still had, a solid.
Nice year.
Yeah, he
solid year. Yeah, he's not a number one running back though. He's a complimentary guy, which is what he was in Washington.
Well,
yeah.
The unrestricted guys. I mean, besides we mentioned Jones and Najee, Chubb, Javante.
Yeah, Chubb.
I mean, these are complimentary guys. Yeah. To your point, these guys are not going to. I mean, Dobbins is the one you could say, hey, obviously you'd want another guy with him with how many games he's played over the last few years. You wouldn't see him as that true guy, but
I'm assuming
Ty Johnson's an unrestricted guy.
We're going to see Dobbins go back to LA, right? What'd you think?
I think he's been hurt so long. Now he's finally has a good year.
That's the spot I put him at. I think Akers is also unrestricted, so just want to mention that.
What about someone like Zach Moss? Like, where's he? What's he doing?
So he's coming off a neck injury, so that's kind of
his time's
thing
one.
Done. Well, it's scary too because I mean, Damian Harris is a guy we think of who had a neck injury as well, and I mean,
seems like I know it's years past, but like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, like he's like 25 years old, 26. Why isn't he still in talks? Todd Gurley's like 29. Why isn't he in talks? Like, it's just so weird how quickly players fall out. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like it's going to be exciting for fantasy, especially running backs. Because now I've upped my look at top 14 teams. You got Green Bay, Cincinnati, San Francisco, and Detroit. And Arizona, you could kind of argue. That's 4, maybe 5 of the top 15 teams that wouldn't need a running back.
Yeah.
Or couldn't at least use somebody.
Yeah.
Rico Dowdle's a guy, by the way. I know that, the numbers were kind of odd the first half, but second half really came on. Unrestricted free agent.
Hold on, Zach. Do you just call San Fran a top 15 team?
For cap space. I was looking at top 15 for the cap space.
Okay. It's fun to clear that up.
There in some way.
Yeah. Rico Dowdle would be an interesting one. He was good at the end of the year. Like I had him in a few leagues.
See if Jacksonville moves on from either Etienne or Bigsby.
They should move on from Lawrence. That's what they should be doing, but it's a different conversation.
Liam Cohen said that they were going to be both top guys in fantasy next, or whatever he said.
Yeah, they're each going to get 20 touches. Brian Thomas is getting 10 targets a game.
His coach
speak was 5 snaps to go against everyone else.
Yep. What about Packer legend James Robinson? They could use someone like him.
Grid legend, yes.
Is Pacheco, is he ever going to be back to fantasy relevant?
Once Kareem Hunt leaves, yeah.
It's not just that. There's a reason Pacheco wasn't getting work this year. He wasn't good.
He also broke a bone, right? He fractured his fibula. I was one who feels that he didn't come back 100%. Based on watching him,
came back early too. I thought like a week earlier.
Back up. Yep. So I think give him an off season, comes back. I think he's going to be the guy.
Okay. From the few things I've seen is a fibula, like the next year is obviously better than coming back the same year, but it's still down versus what the player used to produce before.
And remember, they signed Kareem Hunt to replace Pacheco. Like, they didn't have him until he got hurt, right?
That was when Pacheco got hurt, though.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, like, maybe he thought, like, oh, I'm the only guy. I have, they rely on me. I have to do a certain thing, perform my role. Now they got Kareem Hunt, and he filled in for so many weeks. So Pacheco kind of felt like he had to try to, like, give Kareem Hunt a break, if that makes sense. Like, he didn't have to be the main guy where he comes in, he might have a third down here or there, or a first down run, but he's not the main guy. Now, next year, he's going to be the main guy. So, I have him in a few leagues. Maybe he's going to be that guy that, their go-to. I hope so.
Yeah, they got to bring someone in.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be like a day 3 running back guy. Like, they're not, or a day 3 running back team.
Yeah.
But obviously you can't trade Pacheco if you have him now because you're not going to get anything for him.
Unless you guys are offering 2 firsts, I'll trade him. Yeah.
You'll be lucky to get probably a mid-second for him at this point. So if you have him, you have to just hold them. But
it's
a
lot of those. Javonte.
I have Pacheco, I have Ayuk, I have Chris Godwin, I have Jaden Reed. Going into this last year, those are top guys, but now they're all either hurt or they're on contract, things or falling off. I don't know what to do with them.
You're in a really tough spot, especially
and
with
I have Tyreek Hill too. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't know.
Tyreek's probably the guy you trade.
Yeah.
Godwin, I'm not I feel like he can have a decent year. I know his injury wasn't good, but
Jared doesn't want to trade him for pennies on the dollar. Is kind of the whole thing, and that's where.
What would you give up for Godwin right now?
Well, considering I traded you a first 2 years ago for him, I mean, I kind of want a second back. I don't know. He also had a great year this year. So I don't know.
Price probably an early 25 second is probably the price point.
Yeah.
I mean, my team right now is still amazing. I still have T. Higgins, Tyreek Hill are my receivers with JT and Bijan as my running backs.
I had somebody I was talking to offered somebody Tyreek Hill for Joe Mixon. Straight up Dynasty League. Is that
before the year?
What side are you on?
When did that happen?
2 weeks ago, say.
Give me Hill.
Whatever.
Really? Give you a Hill? Yikes.
I feel like they're both at the same age point in their career.
Yeah.
I guess
if Tua's his quarterback, I don't know how much production he's going to put out.
If you would have asked me that a year ago, I would have just asked you, what are you even saying to me, Zach?
Yeah, it would have been Hill easily, but Hill's year
Mixon is consistent.
brutal.
If he's not hurt, he doesn't get hurt much. He's consistently there. Hill, it not only depends on his health, but also his. Yeah, but it doesn't depend on his health. It depends on Tua's health.
Tyreek was healthy, unstartable for a solid 13.
Weeks 5 through 13, 14 he was terrible.
But also Mixon, if you look at the end of the season, or the middle of the season, he had stretches where he was very inconsistent too.
Yeah, that whole
where,
team.
You look at a 6-week stretch, and 4 of them he was under 10 points.
Yeah,
slight edge to Hill. It's very small. I mean, I would just. That trade's very even. It would almost depend on position. Are you dealing from a place of strength, if you will, and want to bolster your receiver or running back spot?
Yeah, that's what the guy was doing. He had 5 or 6 starting receivers or whatever, so he's just trying to get a running back. But I mean, I don't know if I got that offer. I think
I'd consider
if I needed both, I would probably decline and just stick with who I had. Because
right now, if I got that offer and I have Hill, so if I got offered Mixon, I'm accepting it immediately, just because I have Godwin, Ayuk, Pittman all on my bench. Pickens is on my bench.
Oh yeah,
and my running backs, all I have is Bijan, JT, and then Tyrone Tracy, and I have Pacheco. So I don't know if he's going to be anything either. So Mixon would be a for sure starter. What's
your stance on Tracy? I have a few guys that have been trying to trade me. I don't know.
Isn't he a third-year guy? Isn't he young?
He was a rookie this year.
Was he a rookie this year? Yeah.
Yeah. Are you trading for him? Because I feel
I'm keeping him. I'm not letting go of him.
Yeah. If you
already made a terrible trade earlier.
Probably, yeah.
Do I know the trade I made earlier? I think I told you the trade I made earlier in the year.
Let's hear it.
I was offered it was JT, it was Brandon Ayuk, and it was Quentin Johnston and a second, and Matthew Stafford. I needed a quarterback not Stafford. It was Sam Darnold. It was those 4 and then the pick. And I gave up Tua and Brock Bowers, which Bowers is obviously tough, but I got Ayuk. I got JT, who's a starter every week. Sam Darnold was a throw-in because I gave up Tua, and Tua wasn't playing anyways. I still have Richardson.
Didn't turn out as bad.
Yeah.
What pick?
It was a second. It was like a mid-second. I finished as like the 6th seed, so
I mean, obviously you would take the Bowers side, but it wasn't like
The fact you got Darnold in there too made it.
It was good for this year. Like it helped.
You need Ayuk to come back and be decent.
Yeah,
that's what you need. If that happens, I mean, it's an even trade. But
because now it's basically Bowers and Tua for the guys I got. I mean, it's you throw a Johnston, even if he is great, like he's not going to start on my team. Like I have too many receivers.
He quietly had a pretty decent
nice year. Yeah, I was impressed.
Ladd kind of took over, but he was solid.
Solid second option. Solid number 2.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on Tracy.
Yeah, I don't know.
If you're trading for him, say you need a running back, what would you give up for him?
Well,
he is 25. Like I know he's a second-year player this year, but he's not like the youngest.
No. I think Zach, because you're not going to get a first for him is just not going to happen. Obviously, the fumbles were concerning with Tracy, but the upside's there
for him.
Well, I'm just pointing out though the uncertainties. If I'm the Tracy owner, which I am in a league, why I wouldn't trade him to you? I would hold him. Obviously, if I got a first, I'd consider everything. But he might be a guy you might need. I look at Dameon Pierce was a guy I was trying to get off of after year 1. I was trying for seconds and thirds, some combination of that. Fortunately, was able to get it in leagues, but I feel like that's going to be a similar kind of haul that Tracy would require, a second and a third, maybe combination of something like that, like a 25 and maybe he's not going to get a first, but something that adds up. That's kind of where I would go. I'd stick to picks. I know if you want to move a player, Jacoby Myers you mentioned, I just hold the Tracy at that point because I don't want to take a shot on a guy who had a nice year last year we talked about, but you still don't feel confident in him repeating that year.
Yeah, that's what it's a 1 quarterback league, which obviously makes the picks a little bit less valuable. But I got like the 108, and my running back 2 is Jalen Warren with Dave Montgomery as my number 1. So it's like need somebody there. Receivers are set, so it's
he's a guy he's a good guy to acquire. I wonder.
Yeah, it's the guy's not giving him up for unless I include the 108, which I'm like I'm not doing that.
Tracy for the 108. Yeah, so obviously you take the 108. I mean, I
like even like he was like, I'll add something. I don't know. Like I just
no,
I can't.
That's a guy. Those are the kinds of guys. Well, no, but those are the kinds of guys you want to take. If you want to take a shot on, it's always tough because the owner wants to hold, and the owner is going to want it first. So we find guys where they have nice, outperform expectation. I mean, I mentioned Dameon Pierce. I mentioned Pacheco was ones right later draft capital guys who outperform. And then it's just a weird spot after in between year 1 and year 2 where it's either a hold or they're going to want a lot for it. So
one more question quick. Do we know Liam Cohen's going to be calling plays, right? Like we know that for sure.
Doesn't matter. They have Trevor Lawrence. What's your point?
Okay. Shane Waldron has a bad history with young receivers. JSN.
Let me guess. Oh, another excuse for Lawrence. I already see it coming. Look at that.
Shane, nobody's talking about Lawrence.
Okay.
So he's talking about Brian Thomas.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm not worried. I think, well, just look at what Liam Cohen did with, and obviously, I don't know how much you got to give Liam Cohen credit regardless, but right, Baker Mayfield, look what those receivers did this year. Obviously, year before still was nice too with Canales, but what they did, how they got Jalen McMillan involved near the end of the year, I think you got to be confident with having Cohen there, based on all the variables we know, right? With receivers we got, obviously, right? They need to make some moves, offensive line, take care of some issues there too, and before everything's said and done, we're saying, oh, hey, Brian Thomas year 2. Still like him, right? You still would say 1,000. He's got a 1,000-yard year next year, and however many touchdowns come along with it. But
the other kind of worrisome thing that I have with him is his biggest games came with Mac Jones. Like, he had some decent weeks with Lawrence, but he wasn't getting the target share.
Yeah, I wonder with Christian Kirk too, like what kind of outlook we're going to see. Yeah. Obviously, Evan Ingram, we think, there's going to be some guys who are fizzling out, not going to be involved next year. I think that's going to play a part in this too. It's really going to be how they use those running backs. I think that's going to be really the big thing too, is how run heavy is this team going to be? Because we saw with Liam Cohen, the big thing was schematically them running the ball. Right, we saw Bucky Irving really benefit from that offense. I think that's going to be the big question. But
Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram are their 2 highest cap hits right now for 2025.
Yeah, I mean, you could see both. I feel like you could see Kirk getting cut, right?
Yeah, I mean, they would save 11.
He's one of those guys. I know you were talking about running backs, but he was a guy I thought of when that kind of discussion came up. I was like, that's the type of guy you'd look at. Year 3, I think, in his deal now. Hasn't really, that nice first year, but
year 4. It's the last year's deal.
Wow. Mm-hmm. I remember we were talking when he initially signed that deal. So time flies.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, everyone said that it was an awful deal when he signed it, but realistically, like, he's lived up to it. Like, his first 2 years were solid.
Yeah.
So,
all right, that'll wrap it for Zack Rausch, Jared Valleskey, myself, Drew Skyberg, here on this Wednesday night. Thank you all for listening to another episode of Drew Sports Crew, The Journey to Million, the perfect podcast for you.